You're in the way of the light. Unafraid, Reister or wrong, George Reister here. It is Friday. It is Friday. I know you're excited that it is Friday, November 17th. Got a couple great things up for you. Before we even get there, though, make sure you hit the little thing at the bottom, follow, share, retweet, whatever it is that you need to do. Continue the conversation. A couple things up today. Interesting story today. Jerry Jones versus the NFL. This thing is heating up. So you've seen that other owners are talking about, oh, we're going to take the Cowboys away from them. No, none of those things are happening. Got a couple updates on that for you guys with Jerry Jones, detailing the whole situation and why he's so mad. And it's not just about Ezekiel Elliott. I'm going to tell you why Jerry Jones is so mad. But also the Pac-12 Power Rankings are out. They'll be posted on my Twitter in a little bit. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever the hell you're watching that. They will be posted. So you guys make sure you retweet and all that stuff. But first of all, before we even get started, so if you guys know, I do the Unafraid anonymous mailbag every week. And I wanted to share one in particular with you guys because I thought it was insane. Because I'm a parent. I'm a dad who has kids who play sports. Some of them do some private training. Some of them play high level sports, all of this. And here is what this dude wrote to me, which is pretty incredible. He says, I'm not a great athlete. Neither is my wife. My son is in 9th grade at a top private school and that has great academics and athletics. He's not extremely quick, tall, and he doesn't have hops, but he plays extremely hard and is a phenomenal shooter and ball handler. So this is a dad writing. He says, this summer we stepped up his competition on the AAU circuit and he got demolished by more athletic kids. He swears he's going to the NBA. And I love my kid, and I've invested at least $50,000 in the last 2 years on shooting coaches, personal training, and a custom diet for him. Then there are AAU travel fees, the travel for us. And at this point in time, I believe I'm wasting money. He's not going to the NBA and won't get a college scholarship. He's just not physically gifted enough. I don't want to be a dream killer, because I tell him he can be whatever he wants to be in life if he works hard. So the question is, how can I break it to him that I'm done forking out all this cash for his dream that's not coming true? It was phenomenal to me. I couldn't believe it. I was like, did this dude really fork out like $100K? $100K. Because when you look at the AAU travel fees and then you add in the 50 grand that he already spent on personal training, I couldn't believe it. I could, because yes, there are a lot of people who have a lot of disposable income, right? So there is a possibility that this is true. I get it. But the main thing is would you shell out $100K on a kid, period, let alone how good your kid was? Because I will tell you this, under no circumstances on earth am I shelling out $50,000 on my kid training for 2 years when he's in middle school. Not happening. Not happening. I could be Bill damn Gates and there's no way I'm spending $50,000. But to make it even worse, the kid is not fantastic either. And so my response to the kid is, I'm like, this kid is a money pit. This kid's a money pit. And he needs his ass whooped for spending $100,000 on AAU fees, travel fees, on middle school kid sports training. Because I wouldn't care if my kid was a second coming of LeBron James. It's not worth that cash. And then the dad has set a bad precedent. Because at the point in time where you keep shelling all this out for your kid, $50,000 for personal training, private meals, all this stuff for your middle school kid. I mean, do you know that you set a poor precedent? Because what's going to happen is when you tell this kid that you're not paying for this stuff anymore, it's going to be like getting a divorce. He's going to say, well, Dad, I've grown accustomed to this lifestyle. Yeah, no way. And I told this dad that he's got two choices in the situation. Well, he's got three choices in the situation, because the dad said, if you're just tuning in, that he had spent $50,000 in the last 2 years on shooting coaches, personal training, and a custom diet for his kid that he does not believe is going to the NBA. And he's in middle school, that he doesn't think he's athletic enough, doesn't have the talent. So I told the dad he's got three options. Three options. That's it. He's got to stop the bleeding and support his kid, because his kid clearly has qualities that'll get him far in life, because he's hardworking and he doesn't give up when he gets his teeth kicked in. I mean, like, these are admirable qualities, but they don't get you to the NBA. Like, they don't get you to be a professional athlete if you don't have the God-given talent. So I want the man to support his kid, but at the same time, like, if you don't stop this now, in 5 years, he'll spend $100K, spend $100,000 on this kid that's not going anywhere. So he can either stop the bleeding and still support his kid, tell him he can be whatever he wants to be, but, you know, we're going to redirect some of these funds to something else. The other thing is, here is the option that is not bad, because this dad is clearly, like, this is not a man who is shy about doing anything for his kid. So I told him to double down. Double down. He's already spending $100,000. Double down. Because if he doubles down and focuses on this kid education, right? He is a hard worker. He's a good shooter. So guess what he can do? He can play basketball on some level. So he needs to make sure this kid is great academically so he can get into a school like Duke, North Carolina, maybe even UCLA, the way he can walk on at one of these schools. Because if his kid can walk on at one of these schools, like, then he won't mind shelling out the cash for the tuition. He's already putting out $50,000 a year on this kid. Let him make sure he gets into a good school, good basketball school, so he can walk on and you can be the dad to help your kid achieve his dreams. Now, that's the other option. The third option, which is a little bit sneaky and sinister, which some people aren't going to like. My wife didn't like it at all. I told him to Jedi mind trick him. He needs to start getting this kid interested in things other than basketball, being that he does not have the talent to do it. I mean, just cut back the training. I mean, see if he likes golf, art, stocks, business, or anything else. And then you actually might be able to invest that money in that kid instead of that $50,000, $100,000 that you're putting into this kid all the time. Imagine if you invest in his business, something else that he's interested in, and you can recoup some of that cash you're shelling out. Yep. I mean, I don't understand, like, why the hell would you spend $100,000 on a middle school kid to play sports? No way, dude. No way. I understand some parents do it, but I'll tell you this, those aren't the kids that go to the league. They aren't. That's just parents trying to buy love and try to manufacture something God didn't give you. If God didn't give it to you, something else is for you. Jerry Jones, though, the guy who has it all. Jerry Jones is in a huge fight with the NFL, and this fight is not going away anytime soon. So what you're hearing now is Jerry Jones is holding up the commissioner's contract, and everybody is, you know, they're wondering, why the hell is he doing this? And the reason why, and the reason why is he's upset. Well, everybody thinks he's upset about Ezekiel Elliott. But I'm going to tell you the backstory about this and why he's upset and why he got like sidetracked and why it looks like it's about Ezekiel Elliott right now. There's absolutely zero chance that anybody would be able to take the Dallas Cowboys away from Jerry Jones if he holds up Commissioner Goodell's contract extension. And the reason why is because you would have to pry the Dallas Cowboys from Jerry Jones's dead, lifeless hands. Like, this is not a Donald Sterling situation where he'll try to fight and lose. No, Jerry Jones will assume take down the entire league. I mean, this is a man who would devote every single ounce of his life and every single dollar he has to destroying the NFL if they tried to take his Dallas Cowboys. That's just the truth. Okay, so how all of this started, right? Like if you go back in history and see how Roger Goodell even became commissioner, it was because of Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones wanted him to be commissioner, called him a visionary. He said that he was the man for the future, that he had all these bright, big ideas, and that he was going to be the guy to bring the NFL and usher in the New Deal. Because at that point in time, the NFL, their annual revenue was about $6 billion, right? Now their revenue is up to $15 billion. Roger Goodell gets a lot of credit for that. But the truth be told is the NFL at one point in time was like dope, was like crack. Like it sold itself. Like there are no advertisements for it. There were no, like people are going to come. They are bloodthirsty animals who are going to come watch the NFL. And here is where the rift kind of started, right? And here is where the problems have arisen with Jerry Jones, the other owners, and Roger Goodell. Is that the NFL hasn't realized, but Jerry Jones did, the impact that some of their other problems that were being masked by great TV ratings, by fantasy football, people caring about the game, DraftKings, FanDuel, all these things, the impact that those things were having on the NFL. But Jerry Jones, he tried to warn the league. They're trying to act like a legal arm or a legal entity by hiring all these damn consultants, spending tens of millions of dollars a year on consultants like Lisa Friel to handle the legal matters, Joe Lockhart for PR, Jeff Miller, a lobbyist on health and safety and concussions, and Tom Lewinsky to form a new cabinet, all these things. So Jerry Jones warned the NFL that trying to solve problems with committees and experts and to act like a legal entity was going to cause the NFL problems. And he was 100% right. Jerry Jones was 100% right. And I've said it numerous times. At the point in time that the NFL started trying to adjudicate legal matters, they barked up a tree that they had no business barking up. Because the truth is this, as much as it may bother the public, as much as it may not feel quite right, if a player is not either arrested, in jail, or convicted of a crime, he should not be suspended. That's the truth. As ugly as that may sound, that's the way it works in real life at real jobs. That's the way it should work in the NFL. I understand that there's a public perception. Oh, you guys aren't doing anything about this, about domestic violence, about this, about that. But the reality of it is the NFL's domestic violence policy should be, if you get convicted of domestic violence, you are suspended for 6 games. Second time, banished for life. That's what it should be. But trying to adjudicate matters like the Ezekiel Elliott case, when your lead investigator says that no suspension should happen and the witness wasn't credible, your lady Lisa Friel says that she wasn't credible sometimes, but then other times she was credible, and then the police don't file charges. FBI doesn't file charges. Nobody files charges against Ezekiel Elliott. Why on earth should the man be suspended? And Goodell has barked up this tree. They spent $2 million. The NFL spent $2 million chasing down Ezekiel Elliott. It sounds like a lot of money, right? But it's not compared to the $22.5 million the NFL spent investigating Deflategate. Are you kidding me? $22 million? Like, that's a joke. Like, that's 100% joke. Like, why on earth? Like, Like what Tom Brady did or the Patriots did or did not do wasn't worth $22 million. I'll tell you that. So trying to adjudicate cases out in the legal front, that hurts the league because nobody wants to be wondering, oh, God, who's suing the league? Jerry Jones is suing the league. These things are supposed to be handled in-house. And that's the whole point of Roger Goodell. That's why he's appointed. That's why Roger Goodell has a job. But then he hired all these ancillary people. And in life, when have you ever seen anything good come from a committee like committees of committees? Oh, yeah, let's build a new road. Let's form a committee to try to figure out who's going to build the new road. No, committees don't do anything great. And then committees of subcommittees, I mean, that's even worse. Committees within committees. And that's what the NFL tried to do, and Jerry Jones tried to warn them. But here is where the final straw, the camel that broke the back with Jerry Jones and Roger Goodell. It was over Ezekiel Elliott, but it was bigger than that. It was about trust. Because Roger Goodell told Jerry Jones in a phone conversation, or at least Jerry Jones took it this way, that Ezekiel Elliott was not going to be suspended. That's when he came out and said, Ezekiel's not getting suspended. I'm positive about it. There's nothing there with the domestic violence charges. All of that. And then right after that, a few days after that, the owners, they voted unanimously to give the compensation committee, the group of 5 owners, the ability to negotiate and approve Roger Goodell's contract. That's where Jerry Jones starts to get pissed off because he's like, hold up, you told me this. I'm the most powerful and influential owner. But then, so you told me this, Roger Goodell, that Ezekiel Elliott was not going to be suspended. And then that way I would get the owners to approve unanimously your contract extension for up to 5 years, and you want $49 million, a private jet, and lifetime health care. Excuse me? Like, how on earth does that make sense? Like, how on earth does that make sense? Like, if you are Jerry Jones, you're feeling violated because he told you, Roger Goodell told you Ezekiel wasn't going to be suspended. And then Ezekiel gets suspended. I'm sorry. And then you approve something for Roger Goodell with his contract extension. And then at your Hall of Fame speech, you remember Jerry Jones went into the Hall of Fame in, I think, August. Hall of Fame speech. He knew at that point in time that he was going to suspend Ezekiel Elliott. And instead of telling Jerry Jones there, you know what he did? He celebrated Jerry Jones. He hugged him. He kept it a secret, told him that he was the greatest owner in sports. And he kept it a secret that Ezekiel Elliott was going to be suspended. Kept it a secret. And then a couple days later, announces, oh, Ezekiel Elliott is going to be suspended. What? Of course he was pissed off. Of course Jerry Jones is pissed off because you just told me a lie. I've done all this for you, and Roger Goodell, you told me a lie. That's the real rift between Roger Goodell and Jerry Jones. That's the reason. And then you have to understand, too, that these owners, they understand, particularly Jerry Jones, because he's been a person who's been able to grow the league, been instrumental in creating more revenue for the NFL. He understands this. Aside from the legal matters that he doesn't think the NFL should be adjudicating, which I 100% agree. I've said this so many times. The NFL should not have power to suspend players who are walking free on the streets, despite what people feel out in the public, because they've actually created more of a mess by doing that than the opposite. Spending $22 million on Deflategate and $2 million on the Ezekiel Elliott case. Goodell's not looking toward the future. Because the problem is that Goodell wanted to turn players into robots, nameless, faceless robots, to protect the shield. And in reality, the league thrives more when it has personalities people care about. Everywhere thrives when they have personalities that people care about. The NBA, they care about LeBron. They care about Joel Embiid. They care about Lonzo Ball. They care about other players that have personality that create compelling stories, whether you are a villain or you are a hero, whether you are a hero or a heel, like wrestling. That's why people love wrestling. You have characters. The NFL has taken away its characters. No compelling storylines. Everybody wants to be like, oh, yeah, we're just in this for the team. We're just towing the party line, this and that. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that sounds good. But the reality of it is you need people to have compelling stories. Like why? It's such a weak move. I mean, how weak is it for people to say, "Oh, well, we don't want to give them any bulletin board material." Who cares if they get upset? They grown ass men to get paid. Then we need to get more upset. We need to be better. It's insane that people like wuss out like that, man. And the other thing is that the NFL is missing, besides compelling storylines, its product is not as good. Product is not as good. And it has to do with quarterback play. I understand. I played in the league. I know that playing quarterback is difficult. It is. It's hard to do. But there have to be more serviceable quarterbacks than what you have in the league right now. I don't care if you need to hire them all, private quarterback coaches, whatever it is. But the truth be told, the worst quarterbacks starting in the league should be Joe Flacco, Tyrod Taylor, and like Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not saying indictment on his future, but he's an unknown right now. You don't know what you got. Like, those are the worst quarterbacks that there should be starting in the NFL. Brian Hoyer shouldn't be starting. Ryan Mallett should never be starting. This is the truth. Your worst quarterbacks in the league should literally be rookies who are playing and Joe Flacco, Eli Manning, and Tyrod Taylor. Those should be the worst quarterbacks in the league. Like a guy who can light it up for you every now and then. Not a guy who's never going to light it up, who just doesn't have it. I mean, I get if you have an injury like in Green Bay and you have Hundley coming in for Aaron Rodgers. That's different. These dudes have to put a better product on the field. The NFL has to if it wants to be successful. That's the truth. The last thing, though, that the NFL is failing at is that with its highlights, NFL is allowing too many highlights to be put out there. They're going to have to find, for all the tens of millions of dollars that they are paying, all these consultants that they have, they need to spend that money on hiring people who are going to literally troll social media, troll the internet, create algorithms to find out what people are putting on social media. And if they are repurposing any of their content, it needs to be taken down immediately. That's what the NFL needs to do, because that causes people to not watch games. That's what causes one of the things, because if you don't have to watch a game, then you don't have to. Well, if you don't have to watch a game and can still see what happened, why the hell do I need to watch the whole damn game? When I just want to see, when most people, they want to see the one-hand catch that Odell Beckham makes. They want to see the dude flip over the guy in the end zone. They want to see a guy get knocked out. See a guy break his leg, get hurt. That's what people want to see. So if you get the highlights off of social media, you will get people to watch the games. And you also need to encourage your players to be a little bit more characters. Have some more character, but not in the way that is detrimental. Like you need to do what the NBA did. Clean up your image. Clean cut business, professional image. And then have them be characters at the same time. Because as straight-laced as LeBron is, he's still a character. Just is. Still says what he wants. Steve Kerr says what he wants. Popovich says what he wants. That's what they do, and it is A-OK. And that's why people like the NBA. You have characters, but they're clean cut. They're not getting in trouble. All that. That's what the NBA, the NFL needs to focus on. Switching gears a little bit to the Pac-12. The Pac-12 Power Rankings are out. They'll be posted on social media in just a little bit when I get off of here. And the Pac-12 Power Rankings read as follows. Oregon State 12. This team has been in the cellar all year. All year. They have one win. And their lone bright spot of the entire season was after Gary Anderson left for his personal reasons. Have some suspicions, heard some rumors about what those things are. But after he left, his team almost beat Stanford. They took Stanford down to the wire. That's like the highlight of their entire season. They got 2 games left to try to win one game in the Pac-12. One game. One Pac-12 game. Because mind you, if they do not win a Pac-12 game, this will be the second consecutive season. Well, it'll be the second season in 3 years that they don't win a Pac-12 game. Now, my question to you is, which we'll dive into on another day, is who will take the job in Corvallis? I get it. Anybody will take it because it's going to pay you over, $2 million a year, $3 million a year. So anybody will take the job. But will anybody be able to be successful in the job, and who can do it? At number 11, Colorado. Listen, Colorado has a decent defense. Their offense stinks. Offense is awful. They turn the ball all over the place. I mean, it's like you translated Sam Darnold over onto Colorado's team. Take away all the athletes that USC has, and you surrounded him by Colorado athletes, and that's why Colorado's at 11 in the Pac-12. Number 10, Utah. Utah hasn't been the same since their sophomore quarterback got hurt. They had to go back to the senior. They have not been the same. They started out hot. I thought that they were going to be better. I did. But alas, they are in the cellar of the Pac-12. Cal is 5-5, and this is Justin Wilcox's first season there. And if you had told anybody that Justin Wilcox would have this team 5-5 with an opportunity to finish 7-5, oh my God, and get to a bowl game, damn, they'd be happy. Oh, they would have signed up for that at the beginning of the season. But then expectations got a little bit too high, especially after they beat Washington State. Oh, wait, hold up. This could be an 8 or 9 win team. Nah, they're just not talented enough. And he's doing a fantastic job coaching. Number 8, Oregon. Oregon should be much higher on this list. However, their record dictates otherwise. You have to win games. And guess who's back? Happy day. Justin Herbert's back. Found this out yesterday. So all this trash I've been talking to people about the Oregon Ducks not being as good because Justin Herbert has been out, he's got to make good on it. I know he hasn't played in 5 weeks. He's got to make good on it for me against Arizona and Khalil Tate, because that boy is not playing around. Got to put up points against this team. Number 7, UCLA. The fact that UCLA is 7th in the Pac-12 Power Rankings is actually pretty good, because considering that their defense might be the most atrocious thing I've seen. I feel like Oregon State's defense is better than UCLA's defense at times. I mean, they're porous. They're like one of the last ranked defenses in the entire NCAA, like all 128, 129 teams. The worst. Terrible. But they got Josh Rosen, so they can be at 7th. Won enough games to be at 7th right now, which is pretty incredible. Number 6, Arizona State. This is like 3 different seasons for Arizona State because first they started out slowly. You're like, oop, Todd Graham's absolutely getting fired. They beat Oregon, turn around a couple weeks later, beat Washington. Oh, Todd Graham has saved his job. This team is going right where they need to be. Then they lose a couple more, and you're like, oof. This will be the 3rd year they don't finish over 6 games potentially with 6 wins. You know what that means? Axe potential time for a Todd Graham. But they're sitting in 6th place. If they don't get to 7 wins, oh yeah, he could definitely be out of there this year. Number 5, Arizona. I have to give Rich Rodriguez credit. The man has turned the ship around. Whenever he actually has a quarterback to run his little tricky option spread thingy, he's good. Like, their team is very serviceable and very competitive. Rich Rodriguez is a good coach. Despite what you thought you saw at Michigan, he's a good coach because he's winning with not a whole lot of talent. Like, check the last time Arizona finished in the top 30 of recruiting. The top 30. Not top 50, not top 100, but when was the last time Arizona finished in the top 30 in recruiting? It's hard to win when you don't have the horses, but he finds a way, which is pretty cool. Washington at number 4. No, some people are upset about me about this. Oh, Washington, why is Washington so low? They only lost 2 games. First of all, they didn't play anybody in the preseason. And they're overrated like I told you. Overrated. Told you guys. Jake Browning is not that guy. Plays poor versus good defenses. This year he hasn't played good at all this year. Like, he has not had any times where he put the team on his back. It's actually been the other way around. The defense has shut everybody down. And then the running game has been successful in some games. Stanford. Davis Shaw is a sage. How the hell you are able to run the ball for 200-plus yards a game with Bryce Love and then 300 when you add everybody else in with no quarterback play and with like 7 offensive linemen in the game is incredible. It's absolutely incredible how they're able to do that because I've never seen anybody be able to do this. I mean, like, this is more basic. I mean, when you think about like Navy, Army, Georgia Tech, who run the wing T triple option, that involves a lot of, sleight of hand, trickery, all that. There's nothing there with this. Nothing at all. Like, Stanford just lines up and runs you over. They just road grade you. And the fact that nobody can stop it, no matter who they play, is pretty incredible. USC. USC is at number 2 in the Pac-12 Power Rankings because of their running backs. Ronald Jones II, Stevens, all these guys, whoever they put back there, all these boys are fast. And they've been able to save Sam Darnold. Save Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold needs to come back to college for his next year. No way. I cannot accept the fact that this dude is NFL ready right now. I've seen NFL quarterbacks, and NFL quarterbacks don't turn the ball over at the rate this dude does. Whether it's fumbles, interceptions, he finds a way to give the ball away. That's not a good trait, and it doesn't go down when you get in the NFL, i.e. Jameis Winston. That's who you got right now, Jameis Winston. Number 1, Washington State, the Cougs. Mike Leach has these boys ready. I always find it fascinating that like Mike Leach's press conferences. I would watch 30 minutes of Mike Leach press conferences because he's like, he speaks intelligently, but it's like he's not coherent and sober and aware of what's going on at the same time. It's the most crazy thing that you've seen. If you haven't seen it, look up Mike Leach press conference, and you will be left scratching your head halftime. You'll be like, huh? What the hell is he talking about? Okay. Oh, wow, that made sense. I mean, he just drops these random this random knowledge continuously through it. It's actually pretty fascinating, pretty entertaining. You guys are watching Right or Wrong, Unafraid. Please make sure after we get done, in just a second, please make sure that you share the feed, retweet, all that stuff, all that good stuff. Thank you guys for joining me. We will be back tomorrow, early tomorrow, to make our college football predictions. We're going to kill it this weekend. People are still trolling about the Michigan State game last week. Guess they'll be excited about some hot takes this week. All right. Thank you guys for joining me. George Reister. Catch you guys tomorrow.